This is Carolina Business Review. Major support provided by High Point University, the premier life skills university focused on preparing students for the world as it is going to be. Blue Cross Blue Shield of South Carolina, an independent licensee of the Blue Cross and Blue Shield Association. Sunoco, a global manufacturer of consumer and industrial packaging products and services with more than 300 operations in 35 countries.
Well, school has started for sure, and the Labor Day bell has tolled for the end of summer 2025. And yes, we really do have to get back to work now. Welcome once again. Thank you for supporting the most widely watched dialogue on Carolina business, policy, and public affairs here in the Carolinas. I am Chris William, and we re-engage our panel on things like the overall economy, healthcare, certainly education, and anything else that may be looming large for us right here in the region. And later on, we welcome back the College of Charleston boss, Dr. Andrew Shue. Stay with us.
Major funding also by Foundation for the Carolinas, a catalyst for philanthropy and driver of civic engagement, helping individuals, nonprofits, and companies bring their charitable visions to life. Truliant Federal Credit Union, proudly serving the Carolinas since 1952 by focusing on what truly matters, our members' financial success. Welcome to Brighter Banking. And Martin Marietta, a leading provider of natural resource-based building materials, providing the foundation on which our communities improve and grow. On this edition of Carolina Business Review, Aaron Nelson from the Chamber for a Greater Chapel Hill-Carrboro, James McQuilla of the Orangeburg County Chamber of Commerce, and special guest Andrew Shue, President of the College of Charleston.
Hello, welcome again to our program, and thank you for supporting it. Gentlemen, always nice to see you. Welcome back.
Good to see you.
Thank you for having me back.
Good
Definitely.
To see you.
So you didn't get the seersucker suit memo?
I almost went seersucker. I almost went seersucker. You look good.
Thank you. I think we look good.
So, two bow ties, too. I just noticed that. You both kind of rock bow ties a lot.
And it's a good-looking haircut on both of us.
And
yes,
good
got
hair.
mine yesterday.
Thank you. Now that we got all that out of the way. So is this Carolina blue, by the way, you're wearing?
You know, Carolina blue is up for some debate and discussion. My socks, certainly. This might be more seafoam. I did wear it to represent my community.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Gentlemen, thank you. I get a little too flippant sometimes, but thank you for being here. What is more serious is Medicaid cuts and how they end up impacting things like rural hospitals in places like Orangeburg County, but also in urban areas like the Triangle and certainly Chapel Hill. You feel the effects there, and maybe schools. But how is that starting to come down the pipeline?
Oh, folks are worried. Our hospital is $4 billion in annual revenue, and 50% of it comes from a federal source. So they are anxious about, and they are now calculating what the cuts are going to mean, and then state cuts may come on top of that. Actually, the state has already done some reductions. And then for our federally qualified health centers, the folks that are working with the folks that are uninsured or underinsured, it's going to have a huge multi-million-dollar impact on them.
How about the rural hospital?
Well, I'm going to say it's the same thing for us because we do have federally qualified clinics that are in Orangeburg, as well as a hospital that's a regional hospital. So there are 6 counties that really touch Orangeburg County, and none of them have hospitals. So you have folks coming to us from a lot of different counties, and they're of a lower socioeconomic group, and so they may not be insured, and or they may have Medicaid because of that status. But with the cuts, they may choose not to be seen.
So are these cuts? I mean, certainly it's a challenge. But are these cuts, are they an emergency?
Well, I think it's 2 cuts. One is a reduction in what we compensate hospitals and others, and a reduction of what people get paid. The other one was Medicaid expansion. Those folks that didn't make too little to qualify and folks that made too much. For us, that was many small business people. The photographer, the sole proprietor became eligible with Medicaid expansion in North Carolina. And losing that health care, that health insurance, will be expensive. Plus, the ACA rates are going to go through the roof, and the subsidies are going to disappear. There's a lot of concern about folks and their health care.
Does that flow through past the health care providers, James, into the school system?
I think it does because you have, especially in our school system, where over 90% of the kids get free lunch.
Free and reduced lunch, yeah. Right.
Pretty much free lunch, right? But again, I think we have to look at the economics of your area. We don't have a lot of high-paying jobs. We're still an agricultural county. And then we have low to medium wage jobs in our area. So, and then the other component is the number of elderly. So there are a lot of elderly individuals who are on Medicare and Medicaid or on Medicaid only. And if those cuts impact anyone harshly, it will be that older group.
Let's shift to housing because we're going to run out of time, and we could chase this one down. But housing itself has stabilized. Prices have stabilized. That's good in that they've stabilized. It's bad because prices have stayed stubbornly high.
Oh yeah, stabilized high. We are seeing moderation in rental market, which comes from supply. We have been adding some supply.
Is that code for going down? Or?
Yeah. So it's been even for us for almost 3 years in the multifamily, and some slight declines that have come because we've added new product to the market. But in the single family, it is very expensive, and in communities like ours, we're sometimes resistant to new development. We just need to add more housing. We need to add more housing.
James, what about housing?
I think we all need to add more housing. We're seeing more stick-built single-family homes. We need more multifamily homes. We've discussed that. There's probably on the board 4,000 to 6,000 new homes that are going to be coming to the Orangeburg County area, primarily in eastern Orangeburg County, but in the city and right around the county seat of Orangeburg City, we're looking at about 500 to 600.
Okay, all right. What in general we hear over and over? We've got about 2 minutes left. Bring our guest on. We hear over and over about economic development wins, Scout Motors, Jet Zero. I mean, take your pick. They seem to come down the pike. These elephant have been bagged over and over again on these big names. But trying to find jobs for that, trying to find talent that will feed into.
Oh yeah, so then the housing is critical. I was in a meeting with like old school, salty economic developer, big Buffalo Hunter economic development people, and they're now saying childcare and housing are the two things that we're
They weren't
need.
talking about that before?
Oh, 10 years ago, no. It was about getting the jobs would come, it would all work out. And now we're hearing we've got to find the housing and we've got to find childcare if we're going to recruit the talent that these major employers are going to need.
Yeah, you're in the same area. When you go down toward Orangeburg, of course, you see Scout and everything else coming out of the ground.
I'm smiling because I'm thinking about what you're saying. You're finding a softer, gentler developer, right? Who's thinking, who's thinking about those things that if we're building this, will there be enough childcare? Even for housing, for economic development with industry coming to the area, they're considering if we build something really large, how will that affect the employees in the area and taking care of their families?
They always cared about utilities. They needed infrastructure. They cared about utilities and water. They just added infrastructure now means housing and childcare and a few other things.
What do you think the change in tone came from economic developers that we're pretty much go, 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 just get out of my way and let me bring them in?
I think it's the workforce. Today's workforce demands a little bit more than the older workforce did. So.
And I think it's that they realize that it is actually, truthfully, a problem.
Yeah.
And the employers are asking this question. They're not just asking, can I get the kilowatts? They're asking, where will my employees live?
Yeah. Gentlemen, thank you. Stay with us. We're going to bring our guest on in just a moment. I want to take just an extra second here because we are coming up on the 1-year anniversary of what Hurricane Helene did in western North Carolina, upstate South Carolina. And we are going to convene the exact same folks that we had that were not only casualties but leadership during that period of time of September of last year when that hurricane decimated not just communities but people's lives. So we are going to have on the program, she is the head of the Asheville Chamber, Kit Kramer will be joining us again along with David Jackson. David is the chair of president of the Boone Chamber. Peter O'Leary is Chimney Rock Mayor. Carol Pritchett is Lake Lure Mayor. And Ben Duncan is the South Carolina Office of Resiliency. They 5 will be joining us on this set again to mark the 1-year anniversary, but to review on where they came, what they've learned, and where they're headed from there. In general, North Carolina may be basking in CNBC's glorious praise of being the best state for business, but The Old North State is not going to want to completely discount South Carolina's effort in economic development. The Palmetto State may be half the size in population, in fact, but it also may have twice the commitment in motivation to compete with its Carolina cousin. South Carolina certainly does feel like it's punching above its weight, so to speak, when it comes to economic wins, as we've talked about over and over on this program. And the Low Country is key to many of those efforts and successes. That is better known as the Charleston region. Joining us from Charleston is the College of Charleston president, Dr. Andrew Hsu. Dr. Hsu, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Chris. So good to be back here.
It's nice to have you. You were here last time when we were in the midst of COVID, and it's actually nice to shake your hand. So thanks for taking time to come up here.
Thanks for having me back.
So when you live in a market like the Low Country, like Charleston, we've heard all the great stories about economic development and wins, and you've got a 240-plus-year-old college that you are head of. What is job one for you? What do you need to get done?
So for us, job number one, of course, is student success. We want to make sure that all students who come to us will get a degree 4 years from when they join us, and more importantly, that they're job ready, that they will develop a great career for the rest of their lives. Mm-hmm. So job number one is student success for us.
Okay. What would job number two be?
Well, job number two would be to develop a national reputation that would, again, help our students with the value of the degrees that they have.
And I want to just take one sidebar on that. So if job number two is the national rep, I want to cite this number. So 2019, when you started your job at the College of Charleston, you had roughly 11,000 average applications by students to attend. Now it's 32,000. It's 3x.
It's over 32,000.
What's that from? How do you say that?
Well, certainly a lot of that is the national reputation that we're now recognized as one of the best programs in its academic rigor, in the ability to prepare students for the workforce, and in the ability of students to be successful and thrive on our campus.
Well, congratulations. A good number to post. We're going to open it up. Aaron, question?
Sure. A lot of the success also, I'm sure, from having talented faculty and staff. What are the challenges? We were talking about housing a minute ago. What are the challenges about recruiting the faculty that you need?
So certainly in terms of recruiting faculty, cost of living in the Low Country, the availability of affordable housing is crucial and often cited as a challenge for us to attract talent to South Carolina, and especially to Charleston region.
Mm-hmm. Is student housing also a challenge?
Student housing, sorry,
pressure to have more on campus, pressure to build in the community?
Student housing certainly is a big issue for us, and as you can imagine, we now have 12,000 students, and we can only house about 3,500 students on campus, and the rest of the students are in downtown on the peninsula, competing for the limited housing with local residents, and that is a major issue for us because the quick increase in cost in rent, and also it creates a challenge for the local community as students competing with local citizens. And we certainly are trying our best to provide more student housing to bring students back from the community to our campus, and we're in fact in the middle of trying to build a new residence hall.
Great.
Jay.
I want to stick with the students for a second, right? Because that's the
Sure.
reason you're there. AI is the new thing. How do you interweave AI into the typical academic day without the students taking advantage of the tools that they have?
So sure. So we're applying AI in many different ways. In fact, we just started a major initiative and which is called QEP by our accrediting body, SAC-COC, yes, which requires us to focus on one quality enhancement program. And for the next 5 years, or 5 to 10 years, we're focusing on intentional AI, which means that we're going to be using AI in all things that we do in supporting students, which include a chatbot called Clyde that is available to students 24/7, provide answers to any questions within seconds. But more importantly, we're bringing AI into the classrooms. So we have provided faculty members with summer grants for them to develop ideas on how to incorporate AI into their teaching. Whether you're teaching political science or you're teaching philosophy or sciences or technology, everybody, all the students need AI these days. And so we have a major initiative on developing AI in the classrooms.
Is there opportunities for programming in AI? Because it seems like the students who understand how to program in AI.
You mean as a syllabus, programming
Yes.
in AI?
Well, learning to do the coding.
Yeah,
in
okay,
AI. Yeah.
okay.
They're the superstars right now in industry.
So right now, what we're doing is we're developing an academic minor that you can couple with any major. If you're an arts major or you're a philosophy major, you're a business major, you can get a minor in applied AI, which will allow you to acquire the knowledge necessary, whether it's coding. Well, quite frankly, these days you use AI to code programs to apply AI, right? So it'll teach students those skills, practical skills to apply AI.
Yeah, a lot of people may not know that your doc and postdoc work, you're an aerospace engineer.
I'm an aerospace engineer. I like to call myself a rocket scientist.
Yeah, well, I was going to get to it, but you stole my punchline. But no, Dr. Hsu, but I want to say, so you know a little bit about cause and effect, you know a little bit about inflection points. So back to the idea of student housing, where's the tipping point for kids attending? They can't afford to live in Charleston. I mean, have you passed the inflection point? Have you passed the tipping point for that kind of cost? And how do you know it's only going to get worse? So how do you address it as an administrator?
Yeah, I don't think we have reached the tipping points yet. So our students are still coming from South Carolina and from all over the country. But we do know housing cost is a major issue right now. There are three things that probably affect student success: academics, their emotional health, and the third one is finance, right? So housing plays significantly in their financial health. And sooner or later, we're going to reach that tipping point where students can no longer afford. This is why we're trying to stave off that danger. We're trying to build affordable housing on campus so that we can bring more and more students back to campus.
Is Charleston, I say Charleston, is the city and the community complying to help you do that?
So certainly the city is very much behind us and wanting to help us. And as you know, Charleston, for the Low Country, historic preservation is very important, and certainly it's important for the university as well. So we certainly meet resistance from that angle, but we're trying to do our best to work with our local community, work with the community that are overseeing historic preservation to address those issues.
Okay, thank you. Aaron?
I think student borrowing interest rates will probably have a bigger impact. Right now, $2,500 for a two-bedroom seems crazy to many people, but when two students split it and you borrowed it at 3% federal interest, it's not yet a problem, we're hearing, but it does make it very difficult. Speaking from a college town, you mean? College town. It does make it difficult for the rest of the population, and finding student housing on campus and pushing against those headwinds of historic preservation will be a priority.
Question?
No, I'm just agreeing with you.
Oh,
That is a real challenge.
Do you have a question?
I don't. I always
That's a first.
do.
Are you sure?
May I respond to that?
Yeah, how about that?
So I guess I think Aaron is exactly right. Even though explicitly we're addressing the housing costs for our students, but I think we're also helping our communities to solve the affordability problem for housing, because once we can bring more students back on our campus, then that would make more affordable housing available to the citizens.
Perfect. That was my question. Do you agree? And he said yes. Sounds perfect.
Good catch. Good recovery, James.
My question is that typically students believe they should have this college experience.
Right.
Right. And sometimes that's the wrong mindset. They believe that college is a right, not a privilege. And I believe it's a privilege. Do you find that the kids today are coming in looking more for the college experience or the college education?
I think these days, certainly more and more, they're looking for both. Okay. You know, when we grew up, I guess maybe not you, but certainly when I grew up, the college education is mostly what we were looking for. But these days, I do think that students are also looking for that college experience. But I think it's important for them to have that experience, because we now define student success not just as success inside the classroom, but success outside of the classroom is almost as important, or sometimes even more important, for our students.
But are we doing them a disservice? Because again, the competition is global. And
right.
Again, I was in college in the mid 80s. So we didn't worry too much about global competition. We knew it was on the rise, but right now that is their competition. So should there be more focus?
Well, that is their competition, but I would argue that and the U.S. higher education is still the very best in the world. And the reason that it's the very best is that we strive to prepare the whole person. We're not just focusing on technology, on computer science. We're focusing on providing students with a well-rounded education and make sure that they're not only successful on academics, they're also successful in life and in their career.
We're going to run out of time. We have 3 minutes left. I want to come back to the Trump administration's scrutiny on higher ed, and specifically with Harvard and Columbia. But it does bring up, whether it sends a chill down your spine as an administrator, it does bring up the idea of scrutiny on higher education. So when you talk to your direct reports, and Dr. Hsu, when you talk to your counterparts at other schools, and it's a different DEI environment now, how do you approach what's appropriate for your students, what's appropriate for you as a public school in South Carolina, and what's fair as higher ed providing, as you said, a good education?
So I think it's our goal is to have every student be successful. And that's what I ask my staff to focus on, is look beyond DEI and look at every single student as individuals and make sure that they're all successful, that they all have the opportunity to be successful. Every student is different. Their growing up environment, their K-12 preparation, they're all different. And us as higher education specialists or our goal is to make sure that we provide the necessary support for them on an individual basis to make sure everyone is successful.
How do you pair that dialogue along with that you do receive public funds from the General Assembly in South Carolina? And it's not the right way to say it, Dr. Hsu, but is it like whistling past the graveyard to some degree to make sure that, we want to keep our funding, we want to keep it at the level? How do you feel about public funding when it's coming to you in the future and now?
So certainly, South Carolina has been increasing its public funding to the universities in South Carolina significantly over the 6 years I've been to South Carolina. For example, when I came, only 8.5% of our budget comes from the state. Now it's well over 20%, right? So it more than doubled, and certainly we, as a public institution, rely on public funding. And that would place a responsibility on us to help provide affordable education to South Carolina citizens. And we're For the last 6 years since I've been here, the state had provided so-called tuition mitigation funds, and we have not raised a dollar on our in-state tuitions for the last 6 years.
Thank you. We're out of time, but thanks for being a guest on our program again. And I know you probably feel like you've died and gone to heaven. You're living in a great city and running an institution that has high credibility. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Chris.
Yeah.
Again, for
Nice to
having
see
me.
you. Glad to have you in the studio.
Thank you.
Don't get up. Don't leave yet. James, good to see you. Thanks for driving in from Orangeburg. I know that's not a small haul, but thank you.
Always glad to be asked to participate.
Thank you.
Always.
Thanks, James. And Chapel Hill, I know that's a drive, but thanks,
I
Aaron.
took the train. It was fast. It was easy.
You know,
it was
you do that.
reliable.
I like that about
2.5
you.
hours.
Thank
you
you.
get to type the whole way. It's great.
Thank you. Good to see you. Until next week, I'm Chris Whitty, and we certainly hope your week is good and your weekend is good too. Good night.
Gratefully acknowledging support by Martin Marietta, Truliant Federal Credit Union, Foundation for the Carolinas, Sunoco, Blue Cross Blue Shield of South Carolina, High Point University, and by viewers like you. Thank you.